Welcome everybody to Code Unknown Declassified, the podcast where we dive deep into unsolved mysteries, bizarre phenomena, and the stories that keep us all wondering what's really out there. I'm your host Mike, and together we're peeling back layers of history's strangest cases. From chilling disappearances to cosmic conspiracies, no question is too weird, and no theory is off the table. Today's case takes us to the heart of West Yorkshire for a story that's part true crime, part science fiction, and completely mind-boggling. Buckle up, listeners, because this one is a wild ride. A coal miner disappears during a routine trip into town, only to be found 5 days later atop of a coal heap miles from home. His body bears strange burns, his clothes are dishevelled, and his face is frozen in terror. There are no signs of a struggle, no obvious cause of death. And yet reports of UFOs in the area are coming through thick and fast. What happened to Zigmund Adamski? Was it murder, a secret experiment, or could it have been an alien abduction? I've put together everything I know into one file for you to listen to, and at the end, you can decide exactly what happened to this poor coal miner. Zigmund was a 56-year-old coal miner who lived in a quiet life in Tingley, West Yorkshire. He was known to be kind, hard-working, and by all accounts, an ordinary man with no enemies. On the 6th of June 1980, Zigmund left his house to run a quick errand. He never returned. 5 days later, his body was discovered in Todmorden, about 20 miles from where he was last seen. What truly baffled investigators was where his body was found laying. It was found on top of a 12-foot high coal pile in an open yard. His clothes were on, but his shirt was missing. And the way his clothes were fastened suggested someone else had dressed him. Even more puzzling were the burns on his neck and shoulders, which appeared to have been treated with an unknown ointment. The coroner ruled he had died of a heart attack, but his face was frozen in an expression of terror. And the absence of coal dust on his shoes raised questions that nobody, even to this day, has been able to answer. So let's break down what we know. Zigmund was last seen alive near his home, but for 5 days there were no sightings, no evidence, no clue as to where he had gone. When his body was found, the workers at the coal yard insisted it couldn't have been there the day before. Someone, or something, must have placed him there. And then there were the burns. Experts couldn't identify what caused them, and the ointment used to treat them didn't match anything on record. It looked like someone tried to help him, but who? And why? Finally, there were the reports of the strange lights in the sky. Several residents of Todmorden claimed to have seen UFOs, commonly known as UAPs today, in the area around the time of Zigmund's disappearance. Alan Godfrey, the police officer who found poor Zigmund's body, later claimed to have had his own UFO encounter just months after the case. Is this merely a coincidence, or could the two incidents be connected? Now let's look at some of the most discussed theories. One possibility is that Zigmund was killed by someone he knew, perhaps over a personal dispute. But his friends and family insisted he had no enemies, and there was no evidence to suggest foul play. Another theory suggests that he may have been the victim of botched kidnapping or a criminal operation gone wrong, with his captors panicking and dumping his body. But this explanation, this theory, doesn't account for the burns, the ointment, or the missing 5 days. Or more importantly, why he was placed on top of a 12-foot coal pile. Here's where things get really interesting. What if Zigmund stumbled into something unexpected, perhaps a smuggling ring or another illicit operation? The burns on his body could have been the result of an industrial accident. The ointment might have been a crude attempt to treat his injuries before he died. If he passed away in captivity, whoever was responsible may have panicked and decided to dump his body in the coal yard. But what if the burns weren't caused by anything human? Reports of UFO encounters often include injuries, sometimes resembling medical procedures. Could Zigmund have been abducted, experimented on, and returned in error? The way his clothes were hastily fastened and the strange placement of his body might point to being unfamiliar with human customs. And then there's another possibility. During recent UAP hearings, Congress questioned whistleblowers about alleged human-alien genome splicing experiments. Could Zigmund have been part of an experiment gone wrong? Or perhaps, was he a victim of extraterrestrial forces operating entirely on their own? These questions make the mystery of Zigmund Adamski feel more relevant than ever. Zigmund's case is like many others. It leaves us with more questions than answers, and it feels eerily connected to modern discussions about UAPs. During recent congressional hearings, experts questioned the possibility of hybrid experiments and genome splicing involving non-human entities. Could the burns and strange ointment on Zigmund's body be evidence of such experimentation? Are aliens conducting experiments on humans, completely independent of any cooperation? Or are we letting these modern theories colour a story that might have a simpler explanation? What do you think? Could Zigmund's tragic death be part of a much larger puzzle? Share your thoughts, and let's try and piece this one together. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the unknown. Be sure to follow the podcast for more unsolved mysteries, and let's keep the conversation going online. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and always keep looking up.